And if this just sees the right people, or if this just is on trend, or catches the zeitgeist, this one idea is going to make everyone super rich, right? Now, at this point, do they say to you, I love this idea, and I love you too. Therefore, I'm going to give you 50% of it. No, they never say that. Don't share your client's dreams. So the phone rings, or you meet someone at a dinner party, or you bump into them at Waitrose, or whatever, and you meet someone with this incredibly powerful idea. They're completely enthused by it. They convince you, and if this just sees the right people, or if this just is on trend, or catches the zeitgeist, this one idea is going to make everyone super rich. And better still, you're the first person they've spoken to about it. In fact, you're in on the ground floor, right? Now, at this point, do they say to you, I love this idea, and I love you too. Therefore, I'm going to give you 50% of it. No, they never say that, right? There's a bit of a promise of some money at some point, but they expect you to invest in their idea with the same level of commitment and dedication that they have for it, right? And the worst thing is, of course, you let them do it to you, right? You become convinced because you're a creative person. And I'm guessing there are lots of people in this room who are creatives, they have clients, and you meet this kind of person every couple of years who has something a bit half-baked. And what you do is you step over the line and you share their dream. You should not do that. It is a fuck-up every time, right? So what is the client's job at that point when you meet this person and you're so kind of like, wow, this guy's great, it's fucking incredible. Is that person's job to inspire you at that point? No. The inspiration's done. They've had their dream. Their job is to figure out exactly what you can do for them, so you can give them a price and you can get it done, and then their job is to pay you. Is their job to manage a team, to build a crew to deliver this project? Well, maybe, but actually, number one, they just need to pay everyone, and they need to let you and your colleagues get on with it. So, No, I'm not. I'll be there. I'm getting there. I really like my glasses, actually. I can't see a bloody thing. If you get, yeah, perfect. I'm sorry, I'm just reaching an age where the eyesight's beginning to give out, because as an architect, I spent years staring at things like this. And my eyes are shit. So why is it so dangerous? It's because when you cross that line, right, you start assuming those responsibilities that they should have. You start structuring their dream for them. And everything else that falls out below that then becomes slightly your fault too. So then you start figuring out when you're going to get paid. Right, it's bullshit. It's going to turn into a crock of shit. And when you meet those people, you need to just say, that's lovely, I love your, it's a fabulous idea, you need to be supportive of them, but actually you're not ready for me yet. Can you just go away, and we'll have a discussion about structure maybe, but that's as far as I'm going to go. So I'm going to give you an example, and I will say, it is hard as an architect, that is kind of your job. People expect you to bring the vision, and somehow, and with any creative people, websites, music, whatever, you do have to bring a vision, don't you, but you somehow have to keep it discrete from the other parts of the project. So I'll give you a nice example of my big fuck up in this area. So, and what I'm going to say is actually kind of dovetailing and slightly contrary to Mike's point earlier about your gut feeling. I'm going to say, don't go with your gut feeling. Don't go with your hunch. Hunches get you in trouble. What you should turn to is called baseline thinking. There is nothing new under the sun. There is no idea that strong that it's just going to ride through and hit reality and not encounter any. It's just not going to happen, right? You need to go to baseline thinking. You need to think, whatever this thing is, it's probably been done before in some shape or form. We're going to go back and look at that, see how that works, see what it costs, see how long it took, did it have a market, and then we're just going to adapt from that. And that's as clever as you need to be, which is frankly not very. You just need to stand on the shoulders of giants. So, this guy comes to me a few years back with this idea, right? It's called a columbarium.
What?
Well, I fucking offered you the job at the time, so I don't know why.
Yeah, what the fuck are you?
You did. Right, this guy comes to me, he says, listen, it costs £8,000 to get buried these days. We're running out of ground, right? So we're all going to be cremated from now on, and we need to have columbaria to put, because it's cost so much, we haven't got the space anymore. And if you think about it, the Japanese have these things, they're called pagodas, and he's right. Pagodas are columbaria, generally. They have shrines to ancestors with ashes in there. And the Spanish do it too, right? And I thought, God, yeah, he's got a point, doesn't he? So I got completely swept up in this thing, and we started designing this massive project based on the old, the tumuli, the earth mounds of ancient England, which were these ancient, sort of dark, stony places. And he was off gathering investment. He was going to get millions. I mean, I costed this roughly about $3.5 million to build this thing, but actually it was probably 10 times that if it had ever come about in real life. And I mean, I was really invested in this, right? Really, I mean, months of meetings and phone calls and emails and sketches and shit for no money at this point. And guess what? Okay, I'm gonna give right. So someone's died, right? Your parent has died, heaven forbid. There it is from the sky. It's vast. He had a site and everything by a lake. It was old disused quarry. And then I started figuring out, if you want to bury 250,000 people in one big space, you need some very big, deep, huge chasms to put them in. It becomes a bit like the spaceship in Alien. It becomes a fucking death temple. No one is ever going to take their family there for the afternoon to say their grandfather. It's just not going to happen. They're going to run 1,000,000 fucking miles. Right? Don't buy into the fucking dream. Think about it. Right? And not only that, but there were other signs, baseline thinking, right? It turns out this crops up about every 50 years ago. Someone has this idea in this country. The Victorians had a scheme to build pyramids in Hampstead to take care of London's dead because they were running out of room. And I remember, you're giving me another 10 on this one, I'm not doing 5. And I remember looking at this and sending the email out to everyone saying, haha, the Victorians thought of this. Funny enough, everyone thought they were going to make tons of money. What idiots. And that was a pretty strong message, wasn't it, really? So anyway, it all comes to a head. We build a website. I do some visuals. He doesn't like them. I do some more visuals. I had these crazy notions about sunlight. I billed him $6,000, he paid me $3,000, I kicked off. It all sort of went to shit, basically. At least I got $3,000 out. There was one firm, and I don't think there's anyone here from them, he took them for $45,000. But that's because they weren't running their invoicing properly. But still, he had various land agents and lawyers, big companies, all completely sold on this. And they all felt that was their fuck up. They did that basic thing about just being completely enthused. You'll need to take that reference out of the video before it goes on YouTube, please. So that's one. Okay, cool. So I'll quickly rattle through the next two. Yeah, so I can laugh now. Okay, so next up, take advice, but take it from the right people. Sometimes that's yourself. Right. I set up a vineyard in 2007, 2008. I had to do a deal. It was 27.9 acres. It took us 18 months to find it. It's beautiful south-facing land. It's the right geometry. You can drive a tractor up and down without having to turn it all the time. It's got good drainage. It's a good height. It's sheltered. It's really good for an English vineyard. Brilliant. But I had to borrow a lot of money because they weren't going to split it. So there's 27.9 acres, and there's 12 acres there in particular that I didn't want. So did a deal, wrote a business plan. This is 2007. You could get money then. Lloyd's offered us the money. NatWest offered us the money. We signed it on the back of a car. That, just did a scribbly, shitty contract. £70,000 overdraft. 0 interest. We were going to be charged at 0.5 above base. It was 4% at the time, but with a 2-year rollover. So I didn't need to come up with any money for 2 years on this £70,000 debt. Excellent. About 2 months later, I lost my job. The recession hit. Interest rates tumbled. So we were paying next to nothing on it. It was crazy times, as I'm sure you all remember. And I was left with a £70,000 overdraft, or we were, and trying to sell these. Now, I took advice. I took advice from the agents who had sold me the land in the first place. They said, it's fine. You'll sell that for pony paddocks. You'll make a fortune. Great, I thought. Yeah, that sounds good. Didn't do my research. Of course it didn't sell. No one wants to buy a 12-acre field in the middle of nowhere to put their pony on it. They want their pony near to their house, of course. So I sat and worried for 18 months. We did find a buyer. It was great. In the end, the 2 years came up and it was timed just right. And overall, we lost 300 quid on the whole deal. So I came out like just going, phew, thank heavens for that. But here's my fuck up. If I had just taken advice from myself, an architect, I might have spotted something. After we'd agreed a sale, I suddenly thought, oh, do you know, I could do with the corner of this land, because it's really high, for my water tanks, because I got really good pressure there. And the guy who'd agreed to buy the land said, no, I want 2 fields. I don't want 1.9 of a fields. Here's the deal, you know, £70,000-ish for this land, you're going to, you know, what's your problem? No. And it was too late. I couldn't put it back on the market. I couldn't play hardball because I had this deadline for this overdraft to be paid. If I had just thought of it before I put the land on the market, I could have just drawn a red line there, kept this strip up here, sold the rest for 65, whatever. I would have had an acre of land, 5 grand. It's not worth an awful lot now. Give it 10, 20 years, planning permission. You could get a few houses up there. You get a mansion. The views are incredible. It's secluded. You know, it would have cost me next to nothing as an asset. And the fuck up there is, don't listen to the estate agent who sold you the thing in the first place. You know, think around the problem, take some advice, listen to yourself. You're probably the expert in this. So that's my fuck up there. And finally, it's a similar thing about taking advice. This is our vineyard now. This is yesterday, that's after, that's before. There's a lot of work pruning it at the moment. Like if you're going to take advice from someone, look at the evidence. What have they done in this field? Are they really qualified to tell you? And should you be listening to that advice? Because maybe yes, but maybe no. And you just need to look a bit harder. So I'm going to say, yes, go with your gut sometimes, but also you just do need to take a minute sometimes and try and step back from everything and just take a really good, reasoned, objective view about stuff without getting, you know, hyper-vigilant and uptight about everything. It's generally always worth a second look. And there we go. Oh, I'll show you the wine quickly though, because we did get there. It's just about to go to market. This is still mock-up. We're still waiting on the correct labels, but that's going to be going to London very shortly. And we're going to have a DOC on it, and it's a whole new method of making an English sparkling wine, which I hope will be very successful. So, you know, maybe it turned out for the best, but there we go.
Have you ever failed in a project, career, or business? Whether you have or not, you can become a Fuck Up Nights organizer in your city, company, or university. Learn how at fuckupnights.com. Join the movement. Fuck up the system.